Topic 1-6, distributing a negative. Alright, we're going to go over distributive property. Notice that most of these problems, actually all of them, have a parentheses. When you're doing order of operation without variables, you would perform the operation inside the parentheses. But for this particular one, you have variables with numbers, so you're going to distribute. Let's look at number 1. You're first going to look at the distribution of 7 with a positive 2 in. It's a negative 7. You do take the sign negative with the 7. So when you distribute, that means to multiply. So make a note to yourself that you are going to multiply. Alright, so when you multiply negative 7 times a 2 in, you would get a negative 14 in. When you distribute the negative 7 and the positive 1, that's multiplication of opposites, you would get a negative 7. Let's bring down, don't forget that you have a 5 sitting over here. Alright, now you want to combine like terms. Well, the only like terms you have here are the whole numbers 5 and a negative 7. So when you combine 5 and negative 7, I'll go ahead and put it at the end. I usually like putting numbers that have my variable at the beginning of the expression. That's just a common way you're going to see an expression. Numbers that are whole numbers on their own would be at the end. 5 minus 7, 5 plus a negative 7, if you want to look at it that way, would be a minus 2. So remember that. That's really, you're looking at the 5 with the 7, but that change it to a plus sign and make this its opposite, you're now looking at 5 and a negative 7. That's how we got this negative 2. Again, you've got to go over lots of integer rules. If you need some more help with that, go ask your teacher before you even continue with the notes. Or back up to previous lessons that it was taught. Alright, number 2. If we distribute the negative 5 with a positive 6, negative 5 with a negative 3 in, you would end up with 2n minus, do the multiplication, 30 plus 15n. Here's where we're going to combine like terms. These are the like terms. Leaving in your answer the numbers with variables first, so let's combine them first. I really should have underlined the plus sign with that 15 because it takes on the sign of whatever operation that's in front of it. So 15 is positive here. So 15n and 2n would give you 17n minus the 30. And you're leaving this as an expression as you go. Alright, this one's very important to understand what is in front of that parenthesis. Or you could think of it as behind that minus sign. What's there is understood to be a 1. So when you do the distribution, you're really multiplying a negative 1 times a positive 5 and a negative 1 times a positive 4. So this becomes 11 minus 5x minus 4. That x. Combine like terms. The like term you have is an 11 and a negative 4. Gives you, although again we're going to put that at the end because negative 5x are variables first, plus 7. 11 minus 4 is 7. Alright, a little bit longer problem on number 4. You are distributing a negative 5 with a 3y and a negative 7. Again, remember this means a negative 1 in front of that parenthesis, so you will be distributing a negative 1 and 6 and a negative 1 with a 4y. So walking through this one, you're going to end up with negative 15y plus a positive 35, two negatives become a positive, minus 6, because a negative 1 and a positive 6 would be negative 6, and minus 4y. Again, this one we will have a few more to combine. You've got a negative 15y with a negative 4y. That will result in a negative 19y. Your two whole numbers, 35 minus 6, would end up with a positive 29. Okay, an even longer problem. Again, we're going to distribute here, 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 and here. 3 times 4x, 12x. 3 times a negative 2, negative 6. Negative 2 times a positive 2x is a negative 4x. Negative 2 and a positive 3 give you a negative 6, remembering your integer rules of multiplication and leaving the 5 on the end. Combining the like terms, you've got this one with this one. Make sure you take that minus sign with it. And then you're going to have, show a different color, the negative 6, the negative 6, and the negative 5. So really you're combining 3 negatives down a number line. You're at negative 6, you go to negative 12, and then to negative 17. So I'm going to put that at the end again because I like putting my variable at the beginning. 12x minus 4x gives me 8x. Okay, for 6, 7, and 8, you actually have variables to distribute for. So if you want to kind of think about having, sometimes these are written a little too close. This 4, x being a negative 2, is not a part of the expression on number 6. So don't get this confused. So if you want to kind of put a box around each of those, this 4 is separate. Okay, so let's look at number 6. You want x to be a negative 2. So if this is negative 2, you first are looking at, you know what, before we put in the 2, because we're going to be able to combine some like terms, let's substitute the negative 2 after we've combined like terms. So you're going to first combine what's needing to be distributed, just like in previous problems. So this is 12 minus 15x plus 21. 2 negatives make a positive. Minus 4x. So take a minute, maybe pause the video, plug in, or combine your like terms and then plug it in. Then turn the video back on and see if you get the right answer. We've done enough of these to be a good test of taking some notes here. Well, trying to get it to shrink here. Okay. So combining like terms, you've got the negative 5x and a positive 4x, and you have the two whole numbers, 12 and 21. So you're going to be left with a negative 19x plus 33. Okay, number 7. Again, you're going to distribute this first set of numbers and this second set. And a lot of times we do forget, but this is represented a negative 1. When there's no number at all in front of the parentheses or behind that minus sign, you have to understand that that's represented as a 1. Okay, so negative 3 times 7 is going to give you negative 21. And this actually will be a positive 3x minus 3, let's see, minus 3 plus x minus 5x. We've got quite a bit of like terms here, 3 x's. So 3x and 1x minus 5x gives you a negative x. 2 negatives combined, negative 24. Again, use your rules of integers. That's adding an opposite. Oh, I'm sorry. Back up. Sorry about that. That's an expression. We haven't actually filled the number in for that expression yet. This number is going to be substituted for 3. So this is actually negative 3 plus 24. 2 opposites. You're subtracting and taking the sign of the larger number. So this ends up being, oh, I'm messed up. I'm sorry. This is plus negative. This is positive. That's negative. So that would be plus a negative. So that's actually a negative 27. Okay, number 8. Distribute you would get 10 minus 6 plus 8x. Again, remember that's a negative 1 understood. Negative 3x plus 2. You're left with 5x plus 6. So now we're going to substitute that negative 4 in for this x. So that 5 times, I'll put that in parentheses, 5 times the negative 4 plus 6. Multiplication of opposites, leave you with an opposite. Adding that to 6, subtract, take the sign of the larger number, gives you negative 14. So now it's your turn to go and try some on your own.